وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. First of all, I would like to welcome all the participants and all the speakers in today's session. And of course, this is the second day of the first International Islamic Economics Congress. And the theme of this session will be about social responsibility of the Islamic economy and Corona crisis. In this session, we have basically 5 presenters. I hope that all of them will be able to join the session and present their papers. Each presenter will be given approximately 15 minutes to present the paper. And inshallah, after 10 minutes, I will remind the presenter to wrap up his presentation within 5 minutes to try and, be able to stick to the time allocated for this session. And then after that, after all the presenters have finished their presentation, we will give the opportunity to the audience and participants to ask any questions about the topics that have been presented. So with this, I would like to first invite the first speaker. Let's see if the first speaker is currently with us. Yes, Brother Faqih Ramadan. Can you hear me, Brother Faqih? I can see that he has joined us in the session. And basically, Brother Faqih is from the Department of Islamic Economics, Faculty of Economics and Management Sciences, University of Dar es Salaam in Indonesia. Yes, Brother Faqih, I just want to confirm that you can hear us.
Yes, I can hear.
Okay. So before I let you start your presentation, I just want to say that your topic will be about the role of information technology in professional Zakat collection funds in Indonesia. And this paper has been written by 4 authors. Of course, the main author is the presenter of the paper, Mr. Faqih Ramadan. He is working at the Department of Islamic Economics, Faculty of Economics and Management Sciences in the University of Dar es Salaam. Other authors of the paper is Yunita WULANDARI, lecturer at the Department of Islamic Economics Law at the Faculty of Sharia, also University of Dar es Salaam. Also another author is Sunan SARJANA, the head of division, the training and empowerment of trustee at the International Center for Awqaf Studies, and also Azidni ROFIQO, senior researcher at the International Center for Awqaf Studies. So for now, I will give the opportunity to Mr. Faqih Ramadan to present his paper, and the allocated time will be 15 minutes, and inshallah, you are free to start your presentation.
Okay, sir. I will begin the presentation.
I think the internet connection is not very strong. I cannot see the presenter right now. Okay.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let me introduce myself. My name is Faqih Ramadan. As presenter in this evening, I will present my paper under title Role of Information Technology in Personal Zakat Collection Funds in Indonesia. The first, let me introduce this paper. The demographic dynamic of the Indonesian population continue to experience dynamic developments. This population growth is also in line with the technological advance in Indonesia, especially in the fields of information and application that help people in their daily lives. In January 2021, internet user in Indonesia were record at 202.6 million with the presentation of 73.7% of the total 202.6 million internet user in Indonesia. The total workforce in February 2021 was 139.81 million people, an increase of 1.59 million people compared to Augustus 2020. Okay, next, in this paper, I will use the methodology qualitative method with the descriptive analysis across the literature study. Descriptive analysis used to explain the potential of technology in providing professional zakat information to the public. The literature study materials were obtained from various reference literature, include journal, article, and books. Literature study were continued to observation of overview of previous research relevant to this topic. Okay, I will explain the result and analysis. Wakaf concept. Wakaf is taraduf in Arabic with the zakat. This personal zakat concept. Definition of personal zakat concept, as Kordawi argues, professional zakat is zakat that imposed on each particular job or personal skill, whether carried out alone or carried out together with other people or institution, which the bring income or money that meets the nisab. Professional zakat was imposed to income or income earned by a person as a reward for work that he seeks individually or jointly. The object of the professional zakat is work for in both the public and private sector. Sorry, the emphasis on researching the nisab. This according with the result of the first Congress of Scholars who discussed zakat in 1984. Professional zakat fund collection strategy. The direct method is the fundraising method using techniques that involve direct donor participant. This method, for example, is carried out with a promotion method that leads to the formation of the strong institutional image. First was can be strong to arrive Muzaki in thinking. Either through conventional method or or talk professional media, but online or not. Using online media here is not a taboo subject, including in the terms of zakat socialization. People who have dominated the world of the online technology increasingly garnered the achievement of the target of dakwah or socialization of zakat. Example can be taken named by use of Instagram media, Facebook, Twitter, and the others. In the effort of propagate zakat is not necessarily to erect muzakis in interns in zakat, as well as the use of various of other online media. Zakat socialization through online media. A study in 2017 in West Java describes that strategy management process in zakat socialization communication can be viewed by their strategies, namely formulation strategies, implementation strategies, evaluation strategies, especially in the first stage, namely the formulation stage, where the strategy of Amil Zakat Agency of West Java province in dealing with contemporary and conventional institution to modern institution through the use of information technology IT based. Because we don't keep with the times, our organization that collect zakat funds will be left behind. In addition, there is also another previous study with the states that problem that continues to be major in the scopes of zakat collection in Indonesia, that is concentrates in effectiveness of the zakat socialization program. Therefore, the author concludes that in carrying out their role in online media, there are zakat amil who socialist zakat indirect and indirect wise. The framework of management objects. Next, the development of zakat socialization strategy in the previous of upper zakat payment facilities must go through several fundraising management plans for each zakat institution. Socialization or promoting activities are one of the elements of fundraising where the scope is more specific, because fundraising will not run without socialization, and this is the socialization between zakat institutions and the community can take place as well, being determined of public trust in zakat institution and that help the socialization. The meaning is we must know, but we must know the information zakat will be easier to get it with using the technology. So, applications of technology in the collection of zakat funds. The use digital payment platforms or media by zakat institution include zakat payments through the GoPay digital wallet, where GoPay, this name is GoPay wallet, where the GoPay launched as classes studies payment feature using quick response code scanning technology. GoPay cooperates with the National Amil Zakat Agency and Rumah Zakat to make it easier for people to pay zakat. As we know, we with this technology and with our knowledge, we make the application for funding zakat for easier the people to pay it. Using the Gojek application, we can donate our GoPay balance by searching in image or the Basnas QR code initiated in various place. After scanning QR code image, the application user and filling in student nominal that will be given the confirms the transaction. GoPay meaning the direct body Gandes Bota state that the purpose of GoPay service is collecting zakat funds also aims to increase the volume of not cash zakat payments. The second, sharing happiness or last rumah zakat is also one of online social donation and fundraising platforms. This application provides as a platform for social project maker both personal and organization to present their ideas to connect audience around the world so that more people can share in happiness of or zakat infak and sedekah. And last is jemput zakat. It's also one of the online service available at the Zakat Institution Basnas in the city of Yogyakarta. That zakat house, or we say rumah zakat in the city of Yogyakarta. The service is internet for muzaki who want to collect their zakat with all conversations of innovation provided by zakat institution. It aims to increase the growth of zakat as well as to make it easier for muzaki to pay zakat. The conclusion is the study aims to determine the role of technology in informing and collecting zakat funds. The result of the research is the role of technology in providing zakat information, especially professional zakat. So a good direction. In terms of information and professional zakat fund collection, it's time for organization that collect zakat, infak, sodako, and wakaf funds to use technology as a means of facilitation muzaki to know things related to zakat, infak, sodako, and the others. As we know that we are currently in area of increasing development technology, which make easier for people to find information and make it easier for people to distribute zakat, especially professional zakat. Maybe this is for me. Syukron. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Brother Faqih. I mean, you finished your presentation and you still have 2 minutes. So you have given us 2 extra minutes and it was a really beneficial and eye-opening presentation about what is happening in Indonesia in relation to zakah collection. And I think you mentioned a couple of important points about the importance of creating awareness related to zakat through social media platforms and, you know, through technology. Also, you mentioned several online platforms and applications that are currently being used in Indonesia to facilitate the collection of zakah. And probably, I think, as a way forward, maybe later on you can add some of the applications or some of the tools that are used to distribute zakat. Maybe also technology can also play a role in this, especially in this era of the pandemic. But thank you very much for enlightening us on this and the experience of Indonesia in this field. And now we can move to the second presenter, but unfortunately, I don't think that he is with us in the session. He's brother Oyedeji Abdullah Adeyemi. I am not sure if he is with us right now, brother Oyedeji. So I think for the sake of saving time of the session, maybe we can move to the third presentation. And hopefully, if Brother Oyedeji managed to join us later, then inshallah he'll have the opportunity to present as well. So the next presentation will be titled Analysis of the Implementation of Stock Waqf Model in Indonesia. And this study has been authored by 4 researchers. First, the presenter, Nur Al-Misia, researcher at the Department of Islamic Economics, Faculty of Economics and Management Sciences, University of Dar es Salaam. Also, Hartomi MAULANA, also at the Faculty of Economics and Management, University of Dar es Salaam. And the third researcher, Aqif KHILMIA, senior researcher at the International Center for Awqaf Studies. And finally, Alfarid FEDRO, who works at the Department of Management, Faculty of Economics and Management at the University of Dar es Salaam. I can see here that the presenter is already with us. So without further ado, I call upon the presenter to start the presentation. And as the case was with the first presentation, the allocated time is 15 minutes.
Suaranya masuk. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Today, I want to present about the analysis of stock waqf model implementation in Indonesia. Okay, the potential of waqf in Indonesia is reflected with the majority number of Muslim population. Based on the 2021 World Giving Index report by CAF, it is said that Indonesia occupies the first position with an overall World Giving Index score of 69%. As well, this as the most Muslim majority population in the world in World Population Review 2021. Data is showed by expand of waqf in many assets such as land asset reservation were 435,668 object with a total area square meter in the Republic Indonesia, while waqf money asset in Indonesia reached 4,000 billion rupiah. In addition, Indonesia President Ma'ruf Amin said that the country's cash waqf market has the potential to reach in 180 trillion SR of our estimate approximately 13 billion US dollar for cash waqf. Moreover, Indonesia Sharia capital market saw a sustained increase in both value and transaction volume during the COVID-19 pandemic. This has demonstrated that Islamic financing is more resilient in the face of extreme economic needs. In Indonesia, the number of Islamic stock investors has surged by 566% in last 4 years. Sharia stock investors account for 78,199 investors as of August 2020. The development of Sharia stock in Indonesia has earned international recognition in addition to local recognition. At the Global Islamic Finance Award 2020, Bursa Efek Indonesia was named the best Islamic capital market, was previously recognized as the best Islamic capital market in 2019. Okay, and why we choose a stock wakaf in this research? However, despite its enormous potential, the execution of stock wakaf potential cannot be fully optimized because there are still other elements at play. In Indonesia, the application of Islamic finance in federation, which has a high potential, has not been effectively optimized. As an example of the realization of wakaf money, an Islamic financial development innovation that has been used in Indonesia for a long time is still far from reaching its full potential. According to Badan Wakaf Indonesia, wakaf money collected from 2011 to 2018 totally is 255 billion, far short of the 130 trillion potential. While contemporary wakaf instruments such as stock wakaf are less well known. So it takes a strategy for optimizing stock wakaf that are relatively new in Indonesia. So this research is aimed to analyzing the effective model of implementing stock wakaf to generate larger and more productive wakaf funds. And then for research method, the methodology adopted in this research is a normative qualitative approach to literary study, collecting data and information to be used in the study to solve problems. To gain a comprehensive understanding of stock wakaf, the author deems the literature on stock wakaf from a variety of information and data both in the form of regulation, document, regulation, or the other public information that support, relate, or in discussion. In result in analysis about the stock wakaf status, a capital market is a location or method for connecting firms and other institutions the require funds from the community for business development, expansion, working capital addition, and other purposes with people who want to invest their money. The Islamic capital market simply follows the Sharia law by not engaging in usury, gambling, or speculation. Dewan Syariah Nasional Majelis Ulama Indonesia, or DSN-MUI, has released 17 fatwas on the Islamic capital market to date. The DSN-MUI fatwa is one of the reference in building Indonesia capital market, even though it is not enforceable by nature. The corporation or institution issues shares to raise money on the stock market. Share or stock are a symbol of a person or the parties. Capital participation in a corporation or limited liability company. The party has a claim on the company revenue, claims on the company's asset, and is entitled to attend the general meeting of shareholders by including the capital. And the Sharia stock, a stock that has met the standards based on Sharia principle, is known as a Sharia share. Company listed on the Indonesia Stock Exchange that fall within the Sharia stock category, also known as the Daftar Efek Syariah, must first pass a screening step by the Financial Service Authority, which the service which serves as a microprudential authority in Indonesia. OJK used the following screening stage Sharia from Sharia stocks. And in Indonesia law number 41 of 2004, it's currently not only adopting Sharia shares but has also default with the advent of stock wakaf, owing to its rapid development. According to the DSN MUI fatwa on wakaf money on 29 of 2002, the national of stock wakaf and cash wakaf are similar in content, and their regulation is Jawas or may. The resemblance is because the instruments used are both money. The source of money in stock endowment or in stock wakaf, however, is obtained through stock management. Furthermore, the government made restriction in law number 41 of 2004, stating that there are two types of wakaf asset: those that do not move and those that move. Securities, which include shares, are one of the shifting wakaf object. And public awareness of stock wakaf. The success rate of Islamic financial instrument creation is largely affected by social culture and perception of the essence of Islamic finance instrument. Some scholars believe that the slow expansion of Islamic finance is due to the community through the adoption of Islamic financing. And for the construction of stock wakaf development in Sharia financial ecosystem, the examination of the position of an Islamic financial product in the Islamic financial ecosystem macro must be used to boil stock wakaf development. The bargaining power of an Islamic financial product is determined by its position. Understanding positioning entails recognition the presence of the bargaining power, both in terms of the position of negotiating power and the bargaining power of a product. If your bargaining power is poor, our chance of winning the market area is slimmer, and vice versa. Some examples show that weak opposition in the Islamic financial ecosystem are to blame for the poor performance of stock wakaf. And stock wakaf model Indonesia. The Indonesia Stock Exchange has declared two types of stock wakaf. The first is a wakaf derived from stock investor earning, and the second is a wakaf that use Sharia stock and object of wakaf. Okay, for the conclusion, it is vital to pay attention to numerous elements to grow stock wakaf and maximize the potential of productive wakaf in Indonesia. The first is the public awareness of stock wakaf is currently lacking. This occurs because the community lacks socialization and literacy, because the financial system in Indonesia is still dominated by banking. Stock instruments are essential financial instrument that is unfamiliar to the general population. The slow growth of stock wakaf in the context of wakaf is also influenced by a lack of literacy and confusing the competence of stock wakaf from the standpoint of jurisprudence science. The second issue is that stock wakaf continue to have a weak position in the Islamic financial environment. This is since the Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Religious Affairs, Badan Wakaf Indonesia, Bank Indonesia, and Otoritas Jasa Keuangan are all involved in the execution of regulation and regulatory position. And the third, the building of stock wakaf can be divided into two categories: stock that have gone public or IPO, and the stock in the sense of securities that have not gone public or IPO. Okay, that's all maybe for me. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Brother Noor, for this another beneficial presentation, also talking about the Indonesian experience related to the endowment of shares or stocks. And I think, again, the presenter has highlighted some very important points in how to make this practice more common. He mentioned, for example, the role of the National Sharia Board in issuing a fatwa to legitimize this kind of the role of the government in modifying the law to also make this kind of arrangement legal in the country. And also another important thing is the role of the Indonesian Stock Exchange in identifying what kinds of stocks can be endowed. These are all very important points, and it shows that all the various stakeholders in a country should collaborate to ensure the success of an idea. And this is something that other countries can also learn from, and this is a lesson for that can be implemented also in other countries. We thank you very much for this presentation, and next we can move the other presentation. We can now the fourth presentation is about Waqf management model for self-sustained educational institution, and the authors of this paper. First, we have four authors. First researcher is Mr. Naufal Arsel Fitra Paratama, researcher of Islamic Economics Department at the Faculty of Economics and Management Sciences, University of Dar es Salaam, and also Mufti Aqif, the Deputy Director at the International Center for Awqaf Studies, also Fadila TNT Mudi Awaliya, a lecturer at the Department of Islamic Economic Laws, Faculty of Sharia, and finally Brother Abdul Aziz Husni Mubarak, senior researcher at the International Center for Awqaf Studies. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, the presenter is with us in the session. So again, without further ado, I would like to invite the presenter to start his presentation in a period not exceeding 15 minutes. Yes, we can see the presentation slides.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I will explain a little about Waqf management model for self-sustained educational institution. In introduction, this education is a tangible form of human effort to become civilized beings. John S. Brubaker asserts that education is a process in which human potential, abilities, capacities that are easily influenced by habits are perfect with good habits, with tools or media arranged in such a way and used by humans to help others or themselves in achieving the goal set. Character formation in character education must involve three aspects as stated by Lichkona. The first, moral knowledge, and the second, feeling about moral, and the last, moral action. In relation to the goals on national education, it is in line with the goals desired by religion education. The goals of religious education include forming human behavior that is the path to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Guidance is needed. The purpose of Islamic education is to educate and direct human to the way of Allah. Because education includes aspect of human life in the world and in the hereafter. This is education statistic. Next, Wakaf as a solution for education. Regarding fund, Islamic itself has several social financial instruments, namely Wakaf. Wakaf can be an option to be managed as an alternative or even a solution for education in Indonesia. Wakaf is one of the Islamic-based philanthropy that has its own advantages and characteristics. Wakaf is property whose ownership is related and belongs to Allah, which means that Wakaf cannot be taken back either in any way. This is methodology and finding. Methodology, the qualitative approach is used in this research. This study is a literature study which employs extensive reference and findings, greater and variety of Wakaf asset that managed prudently and properly can generate more benefits. Educational institution which adopts responsible Wakaf management can obtain great benefit and lead to self-sufficient institution. The urgency of education as a generation printer. In Islam, education is one part of the five maqasid of Syariah, namely al-akal, which requires humans to maintain reason and mind. The maintenance of reason and mind requires education as its main access. Without education, reason or thought will only grow into a meaningless component that can even hinder the development of a human being. It is sufficient to describe how education is primary need that must be met. Educational institution need cost. There are two factors that influence dynamic but namely operational budgets and but strategies. The operational budget is budget related to forecasting expenditures for program implementation, but related to school management and learning management. Strategic budget have the power of initiative to address the gap between the desire to misbehave and the will to achieve something through continuous improvement. Student fees are too expensive. The cost of education in Indonesia is one of the problems that is felt to be still crucial. Although the problem of finance does not completely directly affect the quality of education, it is closely related to the smooth running of learning in school, including the procurement of infrastructure and learning research. How many schools are unable to carry out teaching and learning activities optimally only because of financial problems, but to pay teacher and to procure learning facilities and infrastructure. In this regard, Autad, the demand for reform requires job and quality education. Quality education always requires a large amount of money. The role of Waqf for the welfare of the people. Waqf in particular can help the activities of the general public as a form of concern for the people and future generation. Social activities like this have been recommended in Islamic law as a human need, not only limited to Muslim, but also to not-Muslim communities. The Islamic view of the practice of social wakaf like this has been going on throughout the history of Islam. Even its form and purpose are growing rapidly. So it is natural that the number of Islamic wakaf is very large and spread throughout the Muslim majority countries, which can spur economic growth. Wakaf based independent educational institution. Based on the above, it can be explained that the Waqif will give his donation to Nazir in the form of money, and Nazir will collect all the donations that have been given by the Waqif. Donation received by the business unit will be processed, and the process of or profit obtained from the business unit will be used for the welfare of teacher and other for educational institution. Another reason is so that students can feel the results of wakaf that has been managed by the business unit and can be independent in education. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much for your presentation, Brother Naufal, and you talked about also another important topic, the use of waqf as an instrument of Islamic social finance in, in supporting educational institutions. That is a possible model of doing that. I hope that the participants have benefited from this presentation, and so we move now to the final presentation of this session, since one of the presenters is still not with us. Now the final presentation will be about the integration of waqf model for healthcare services in Indonesia, and this paper has been authored by 3 researchers. First, Mr. Atha Mahdi Muhammad, researcher of Islamic Economics Department, the Faculty of Economics and Management Sciences, University of Dar es Salaam. Also, another researcher is Sayharuddin, the director at the International Center for Awqaf Studies. And finally, Atika Masrifa, a senior researcher at the International Center for Awqaf Studies. So again, without any delay, I call upon Brother Atha to start his presentation for a duration of 15 minutes.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you, Brother Atha.
There is a problem with my laptop. It doesn't work for microphones. I'm using two devices here, but my slide would be from my.
Can you share your slides?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, great.
Yeah. Could you see the slide? The display?
Yes, I can see the slides. Yeah.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm Atamati Muhammad. Inshallah, in this chance, Ustaz Shahruddin joining me in one room here. We are going to present a paper entitled Integration of Wakaf Model for Healthcare Services in Indonesia. So nowadays, healthcare services are improved. Hello, check. Hello. Yeah. Nowadays, healthcare services are imperative to highlight. This sector becomes crucial because it involves the livelihood of people. Countries presently are struggling to provide the convenient health service, especially during COVID-19 pandemic. Since its appearance at the end of 2019, there have been more than 2.3 million people infected with this virus, meaning that numerous people, a lot of people require access to healthcare, although the degree of need differs. Some are just necessary and some are in dire need. Also, in accordance with this circumstance, all Muslims have a responsibility to provide utilities and facilities to enhance the national health and keep the finest healthcare services. So, the issue of financing healthcare services across many Islamic states, even high and low income, is presently being discussed because of rising demand for health services, which has arisen from factors such as rising population and healthcare expenses across many Islamic states, including Indonesia. This has an impact on the cost required to provide adequate healthcare. Meanwhile, these pretensions are not in line with the available budget. In Indonesia, national budget for health sector is only 3% from GDP. Whereas although it has not become a definitive standard, but World Health Organization recommends a minimum range of 4 to 5% of GDP for health spending. Therefore, the government needs to find other alternatives to finance their health sector. Thus, this research was conducted. The objective of this research is to propose a wakaf model for healthcare services combining fixed and movable wakaf, or immovable and movable wakaf, as well as basori wakaf. And the practical implication from this paper, the study proposed a model which potentially to adapt in providing good health care services. It should be benefited for Waqf stakeholders. And the originality, this research offers a recent Waqf model which incorporates fixed and movable Waqf assets. In addition, Basari Waqf or SOL, which has been rarely proposed, also include in this model. So before going further on the model, it's better to know a little about Waqf. Refers to holding particular property and conserving it for the limited benefit of a specific charity while preventing any use or dispose of it outside of that specific purpose. It has 4 pillars: contract or sigot, Waqf asset, tur or waqif, and Waqf beneficiaries. Basically, there are 2 types of Waqf, immovable and movable. Yeah. In terms of type Waqf, which can be bestowed, all Faqih schools have acknowledged that immovable properties are acceptable. Immovable property Waqf are the earliest known kind of Waqf and have a somewhat permanent quality. Agriculture, grounds, fields, garden, house, or real estates are example of immovable Waqf asset. But on the other hand, there are differences of opinion among the major Islamic jurisprudence on movable property. Al-Quran, books, jewelry, animals, agricultural goods, and cash Waqf are example of movable Waqf. So the key to So the key to ensure to maximize the use of value of this asset. Both movable and immovable Waqf must be properly and accountable managed. In terms of Waqf management, Nazir oversees preserving and administering Waqf asset for them to remain as Waqf requirement or sigo. However, Nazir declaring Waqf for his effort in preserving the Waqf asset is quite unusual. So the most of them are not completely dedicated to giving their souls, energies, and minds to administrating and preserving the long-term sustainability of Waqf assets values. Interestingly, the practice of Waqf soul, also known as Basari Waqf, can be seen in Ponorogo, Indonesia's pesantren-based educational school, or Pondok Modern Darussalam Gontor, PMDG. So PMDG is a pesantren-based educational organization founded in 1958. Its institution has been given to the Ummah in 1958, which has been established since 1926 by Trimurti, or founding fathers of Gontor. Although the assets endowed by their founder are in the form of dry land, wet land, buildings, and equipment, in essence, they are more than that. Furthermore, the system and its principle, as well as the souls of sincere teachers and sincers from founding fathers of Gontor, are endowed as well. So there are lots of examples that can be considered as a Basari Waqf, who giving all of their energy, dedicating, and all activity conducted by the teacher here is for the sake of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. For example, also Ustaz Shahruddin, who being accompanying me here in one room, and conduct some paper with me, some research with me in this paper. So basically, what has been done by them is intensively only for the sake of Allah. There are no only intention but Allah. So Apart from those pillars from Waqif, Mawquf B, Sigot, Waqaf beneficiaries, and Nazirs, we arrange some Waqaf model for healthcare services in Indonesia. The feature, this model demonstrates a Waqaf integration model for the development of Indonesian healthcare. The pillar of Waqaf are the most essential aspect of the model's design. Sigot, Waqaf, beneficiary, Mawquf B, Waqif, and Nazir are all significant components. So, Sigot or statement or pledge of Waqaf as an intention to donate party of the property. The contract in this case covers the period an asset is given for Waqaf. Two possibilities of Sigot by Waqif, whether it is eternal or perpetually or temporarily. Temporal indicate that the Waqaf asset for health service are only available for a limited time based on the desire of the Waqif, and so on. And then Waqaf asset of Mawquf B is regard with the Waqaf property donated by the Waqif. From the nature of Waqif asset, there are two types of Mawquf B that could be proposed, either movable or immovable Waqaf asset. The immovable Waqaf asset can be in the form of land, existing building, or in the form of new building for the purpose of health service infrastructure. Meanwhile, movable Waqaf assets can be distinguished in the form of cash and non-cash. Apart from cash, movable Waqaf assets include motorcycle, cars, ambulance, goods, medical devices, intellectual property rights or copyrights, and others. Waqif is a person or entity that grants Waqaf properties could be accommodated as a Waqif in this model. So the most essential attribute that any Waqif should possess is sincerity and a desire to sacrifice their property, particularly for the sake of health services. Mawquf alai in this model, in contrast to Zakat, Waqaf doesn't have specificity in distribution. However, to maximize the use of this health Waqaf model, the beneficiaries of this healthcare Waqaf integration model should primarily be people who are impoverished or almsmen. They can show the BPJS card or the Social Health Insurance Administration body card from Government of Indonesia, were authorized by government to provide health insurance programs for Indonesian people. This is an effort to legitimize as a party that deserves free health services. Instead, clinics or hospitals established because of the development of this Waqaf integration model could charge the government based on the amount needed by patient. But if somehow the patient doesn't have a BPJS card, they can show the Indonesian health card, which serves the same purpose as a BPJS card from the clinics or hospital slide. If they don't have one, a local government property license can be attached instead. And for the last presentation, I'm going to give the brief illustration of integration model implementation. Well, suppose that there is a Waqif who gives a Waqaf assets in the form of dry land to Nazir. In the Sigat Waqaf, it is stated that the Waqif gives the Waqaf asset with a perpetual contract. In addition, it is also explicitly stated that the Waqaf land must be used for the benefit of health services. So in this regard, Nazir should adopt a strategy for providing healthcare infrastructure as Sigat Waqaf. So after the hospital building, So we are going to reach the third part of this model. So Nazir could engage partner to assist in fundraising for multiple kinds of Waqaf properties. Other Waqifs can contribute to the form of building or other supporting tools in this context. More effectively, Nazir and his partner can encourage contractors and material businesses to support the materials for hospital building. On the other hand, optimization of other assets such as cars, healthcare equipment, and so on, if any, could be integrated to advantages in the healthcare services. After all material needed to build to build hospital and its infrastructure that support the healthcare services. So after all infrastructure was well built and all physical infrastructure available by the integrated wakaf assets, the community, especially the poor, can gain benefits in terms of free health services with several administrative requirements, such as showing the BPJS card and the Indonesian health card. The cost of this health service will be covered by the government or local business. As for those who are well off, they can contribute as an effort to maintain wakaf asset. So in addition to the physical infrastructure obtained through wakaf advantage, it can also contribute to the form of basari wakaf or sole wakaf in terms of healthcare services. Doctors or other medical staff can intentionally donate the benefit of service provided to patient. This will improve the wakaf atmosphere, which will include not only physical infrastructure but also basari wakaf from a doctor and other medical staff. As a result, beneficiaries will increasingly benefit from the integration of the wakaf model for health services in Indonesia. So in the short, all material, all physical infrastructure needed to build some healthcare services infrastructure could be generated from wakaf by integrating from Waqif and others Waqif and guiding some Nazir's partner to encourage more fundraising. And after all of them was well built, the soul of the doctor and all medical staff could be also contribute to make wakaf based on a basari wakaf, like in Gontor. Here we are going to concluding remark. So maintaining person's health is crucial since it is a requirement of religious orders. As a result, appropriate healthcare service is essential. However, finance is the most difficult aspect of providing healthcare services. Wakaf, on the other hand, has a great potential to become a source of finance for social well-being, one of which is health sector. It is expected that the wakaf integration model for healthcare services development will serve as a viable option. Furthermore, the integration model proposed in this study emphasizes not only the physical infrastructure, but also the sole wakaf of doctors, as well as medical staff by the concept so-called basari wakaf. Hence, it showed that the integration model is suitable to apply as an alternative funding instrument, which led to elevated healthcare services in the nation. As well as the Sharia compliance is fulfilled in this resulted model with no exception. This is over. Thank you for your attention. I'm giving it to the moderator. Maybe my partner, such everything can adding some new point. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Walaikum salam. Thank you very much, Brother Atha, for another beneficial presentation. I mean, the main point of the presentation is the role of Waqf in bridging the gap in funding healthcare services. It is, of course, the role of Waqf. It's very important as an Islamic social finance instrument, and we have seen in two presentations how Waqf can play a role in funding healthcare services and also in the stock market. Of course, Brother Atha mentioned an interesting concept, Bashari Waqf. I don't know if from Sharia perspective this can be called a Waqf. Definitely a person who devotes his time to something beneficial for the society will be rewarded, but technically whether we can call it a waqf or we can call it something else is a different story. Nevertheless, it was really something beneficial to hear from our presenters in Indonesia about their experiences and about their proposed models. Unfortunately, our presenter from Nigeria, I think, is not present with us in the session. Before I conclude the session, I would like to open the floor to any questions or comments from the participants. You can actually use the chat function, or if you want, you can also use the microphone. You can direct your question or comment to any of the 4 presenters who presented their papers in this session. Yes, I have a comment, or I have a hand raised from Mr. Shahruddin. Please, you can go ahead and talk.
Okay, thank you. Is my voice clear there?
Yes, very clear.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Moderator. I think this today very benefit presentation for all of the speakers, as well as I take note for papers conducted by Faqih Ramadan according to his proposal to with regard technology with the zakat or wakaf, actually how connected the technology with the wakaf or zakat practitioners in Indonesia, or maybe our moderator can add your experience there in Turkey as experience, how actually technology can integrate it with this Islamic social finance, like zakat or wakaf, for our betterment of ummah in economy. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Shahruddin. So this is a question directed to the moderator of the session. Okay, we can see if there are other questions or comments from other participants in the session. Okay, if there is none, I would like to first thank all of the presenters. Definitely, as Brother Shahruddin has mentioned, it was a really beneficial session that the presenters shared the experiences and some of the proposed models that can be practiced in Indonesia. This is something that other countries can also learn from. And our first presenter talked about technology and the use of technology in creating awareness about zakah and the also collection of zakah. And my humble feedback regarding that paper is like I mentioned earlier, it maybe for the future they can also include some information about the use of technology in the distribution of zakah, and what kind of platforms are being used and what kind of methods that can be used also to distribute zakah. Then again, in the next presentation, we listened to the analysis of the implementation of the stock waqf model in Indonesia, and that presentation was also very useful. I think also as an addition to the paper, maybe a case study can be added. Maybe you can identify what kind of shares that have been endowed in the stock market, and what kind of projects, what is the outcome of this endowment, was there the result, what is it, for example, given for the construction of a building or the benefit of a certain segment of the society. I'm sure that a case study can be maybe prepared, and this will also increase the benefit of the reader to find out more about a practical example that took place in Indonesia, since This practice is already been legalized in Indonesia, and it is being practiced. And also we listen to the other presenter about Waqf management and its role in creating self-sustained educational institution. Also, the important but there could be a real-life case that has taken place in in Indonesia. The role of Waqf in sustaining an educational institution. So this mentioning such an example can also add value, inshallah. And finally, the integration of Waqf model for healthcare services in Indonesia. This is another beneficial presentation, and again, it is something very important to highlight how Waqf can play a role in funding healthcare services, especially during a time of pandemic and maybe in the future, because there are other kind of challenges that will be faced by the communities, climate change and other related matters that put more pressure on healthcare services. So I'm sure that everyone who participated and attended the session has benefited from all of these presentations. And in reference to, Brother Shahruddin's comment, I can frankly say that I have recently come to Turkey, so I'm still trying to learn about the Turkish experience and what they have done in terms of Waqf and other Islamic social mechanisms. But inshallah, in time, of course, definitely in platforms like this conference, definitely we will be able to share these experiences and these lessons, and hopefully it will be for the benefit of the Ummah and all of us, inshallah. So with this, I would like to again thank the presenters for all of their hard work and for their presentations, and thank the participants for their patience in listening to all of these presentations, and hopefully we will see you in other future conferences. Thank you very much for your contributions. Jazakumullahu khairan. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. And now, and I give now the mic to the organizer if they have any announcement about the next